Okay, good morning, everyone. We are live. This is Chattin with CHAP. I am your host, Ginger Wade, and I have a special guest with me today, Heather Vogler, right? Vogler? Did I
That
get
is
it right?
right. Yes.
She's with the old Schoolhouse and Schoolhouse Teachers, and we're going to learn all about this today. So, Heather, how about as we get started? Oh, you know what? I want to give my listeners a reminder real quick, if you don't mind. Everybody, it is June. What is today? June 6th. It's June 6th. So June 30th is your deadline for getting your evaluation letters into the school district. Okay. So if you haven't had your evaluations yet, or you don't have one lined up yet, you better get on it because you have less than a month to get it in. So evaluation letters due at the end of June. So that was your friendly reminder of the week. Okay, very good. Let's get into it today. We're going to learn all about Schoolhouse Teachers today and make some connections here. So I'm glad you're with me today, Heather. This is so good because there's so much going on in the land of the old schoolhouse.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, you are right. There is a lot going on.
There is. So first of all, tell us about yourself a little bit and how you're connected with the old schoolhouse and stuff, and then we'll chat about the things. So
Sure. Well, yes, my name's Heather Vogler, and I live on 13 acres with my husband and five kids in Southwestern Virginia. But a little background, I don't sound like I'm from Virginia because I'm not. I'm originally from upstate New York, and my husband is from Williamsport, Pennsylvania area, the
oh,
Little
okay.
League Hall of Fame
Yeah,
area.
absolutely. Yeah, I know it.
So we met at a Bible college down in Virginia and decided to make this our home. And we homestead and absolutely love homeschooling and the homesteading world. And I have been working with the old schoolhouse and schoolhouseteachers.com for about almost 4 years now.
That is awesome. So you like do the whole like do you raise your own food and do you have animals and like, all the farming stuff?
So
You
our goal is to be self-sufficient, but we're slowly there. We have the family milk cow and we're experimenting with doing our own cheese, and we're not fully sufficient, obviously, but we do have chickens, and we have a 100-foot greenhouse that we are experimenting with. And just slowly, it's been 15 years. So,
Yeah.
we're just experimenting and trying to get to that place where we can be living off the land.
That is awesome. I love that. That's like the ultimate in like homeschool experiences, right?
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Life skills, kids. These are life skills. That's
Yes.
wonderful. I love it. I have a daughter who would love that. If we could buy a ranch, like she would buy a ranch in like 3 seconds, and have like 75 horses and whatever else. But we do, we have four bunnies and a little
Aww.
garden and a little garden. We just had baby
That's
bunnies
sweet.
actually on the
Aww.
31st. We have four baby bunnies.
Yay. I love that.
So yeah, but that's wonderful because it just gives them all these hand-on experiences for life, right? They just learn,
Right.
and learning to work is like the big thing, right?
It's
If you have a kid
true.
who learns how to work, especially these days, if you have a child who learns how to work, they're going to be ahead of everybody else anywhere else.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
so true. And I love they can do their schoolwork in the morning and it motivates them to go do what they want to do. My son, he likes to blacksmith, make knives, so he can go focus on that. And, each child, I actually do have a daughter that raises rabbits. So they each have their own hobby and they can,
Mhm.
that's education too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's very hands-on and it's very just life skill related, like I think learning to be, I don't want to say self-sufficient because we need to be dependent on Christ for all things, but,
Absolutely.
you know, responsible for self, and working hard, scripture does say to work hard too. So, I don't know, it's wonderful. I think it's great. So, okay. So you may not know, but some of our listeners probably know about CHAP and that our mission is to encourage people, connect people, equip people, and protect homeschooling in the state of Pennsylvania. And I tell them every week at the end of my shows that I encourage them as they train their children up to follow Christ in all of life. Okay, so our mission, or not our mission, our purpose is to raise the next generation. We're raising
Right.
generation, thinking generationally, right? And raising children to follow Christ in all of life. So one of the things that as we've been talking, we being me, been talking with you guys at the old schoolhouse recently, is that you have a heart, there's a passion there to be speaking to pastors about homeschooling and this idea of discipling our children. That's why we have our kids home. I mean, a lot of us are, yes, we do want good education for our children. We do have them home, maybe because of learning issues, or maybe you don't live in a area that it's necessarily safe to go to a school outside the home or something like that. But our heart is to disciple our children and grow them up. Is there anything you can share with us about this idea that you guys are working on where you're reaching out to pastors and talking about homeschooling?
Sure. Well, I mean, homeschooling has changed so much over the years, and people are pulling their kids out of schools for so many different
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah, that's
And,
true.
when, it became more popular in the 80s, people were pulling them out for religious reasons. And then it became, more for, maybe there's bullying or maybe there's special needs. And then you would have all these different reasons why parents would be bringing them home. Well, it seems like it's coming full circle. And it is for religious
Yeah.
reasons, again, because of the indoctrination that so many parents are seeing in their schools. And it used to be they would look down the road and say, well, there's Christian teachers in my school and it's completely fine, without realizing the overhead, that the teachers don't have as much power as maybe they used to, and they're forced to teach certain ideologies that they might not agree with. And so at the old schoolhouse, Paul and Gina Suarez, they are the visionaries. They are the ones that started the old Schoolhouse magazine. Many of you may be familiar with it. Over 20 years ago, they came up with this vision, and they have been encouraging homeschoolers through so many different avenues for over 20 years. And now they're realizing pastors are the ones that need the tools the most right now, because they are the ones where people are coming to them saying, I always thought, my children were going to be going to these public schools, maybe getting a scholarship for the sport that they've been focusing on all these years. And never in a million years have they dreamed of homeschooling, because homeschoolers, maybe in their mind are weird. Or I don't know Pennsylvania very much, but I do know, there are a lot more rules than I know I have where I'm in Virginia. So maybe just the red tape just sounds really intimidating.
Yeah, that's a big
The
one.
portfolios or whatever you have, all the
Yep.
different
Absolutely.
regulations. And so there's just maybe a lot of intimidation. But maybe they can't afford the private schools in their area. Maybe that's just not an option for them. And so the old schoolhouse really wants to equip pastors with not only the tools, but to just maybe instill a new vision for outreach. We, after COVID, if I'm allowed to say that, I apologize if I'm not. But after, this certain time we went through, I even in my area, pastors were coming to me, different people were coming to our support group saying, we want to reach these homeschoolers. We see there are so many people wanting to pull their kids out, and we don't know how to help these homeschoolers, but we see that there's a need, and we want to be able to open our doors for this community. What can we do? And so Paul and Gina have come up with a solution, and they're called schoolhouses. And it gives pastors an opportunity to open their doors twice weekly, teaching from this curriculum that we're going to be sharing about schoolhouseteachers.com. And everything is going to be completely laid out for them. And the pastor is essentially is in charge. So whatever the, your doctrinal statement is, whatever your beliefs are, that is what will be presented. And you can view this as a community for your members or an outreach for those in your community, whatever your heart is. And I feel like God has already put that on the heart of so many. And so we just want to give you the tools. The old schoolhouse wants to give you the tools. We have over 400 courses on schoolhouseteachers.com in so many different styles. So if you've been homeschooling a while, then you've heard these key terms, Charlotte Mason, classical, eclectic, which is just picking and choosing. You've heard boxed curriculum. Maybe when you started, like I did, we used a boxed curriculum because it had everything laid out for you. So, there's so many different styles, so many different ways, and schoolhouseteachers.com addresses that with over 200 lesson designers contributing their materials. This isn't sit at the computer. A lot of people get turned off because they are like, oh, it's online. I want my kids to be outside. I'm right there with you. I want my kids outside. And so I print out the materials and I teach it to them myself. But back to the schoolhouses, this is an opportunity to look through finding these classes that you can do twice weekly throughout a semester and teach your children. It can be chemistry, it can be biology, there's trigonometry, there's those higher level where maybe the parents are a little nervous to teach them, and they want their kids to be doing it in a group activity. Or there's the life of Abraham Lincoln. There's all these, economics, public speaking, creation versus evolution. I mean, you have the piles of apologetic courses. And, isn't that what the church is about, to be providing that alternative to what is being taught in the public school. And that's what parents want. For the most part, I mean, there's so many different homeschoolers out there. And again, you can make this whatever you want. We are a decidedly Christian company, but our courses are Christian, young earth based, that will have that,
like a biblical worldview
woven through.
Yeah. So I think that's wonderful, because there are so many people out there that in our area too, they want to homeschool, but they don't even know where to go. And it's funny because here I am, I'm on CHAP. I can support you here. And we try to reach out so people will see us, but you might not know where to find us, and we might not know where to put ourselves so that everyone can see us. However, if you're a Christian attending a church, you can find your pastor, right? So as a pastor, it's really wise to have that information in case someone is looking for it. So I would hope, the hope is that pastors see the value in parents taking responsibility for their kids and their upbringing, their education, and their discipleship, and would want to support that, right? And so I'm really appreciative of your guys' effort in reaching out for pastors and making sure that they're equipped and have their things, and maybe even help to get us out there too, so that people are aware of CHAP and other state organizations that are really trying to support home education, because it's so valuable. And even the discipleship, of course, that is why we do what we do. But even if you are a more secular homeschooler, just supporting your child in that way, they will be so much more well-founded than from at home, from being educated at home, and movers and thinkers and all this kind of thing is just so valuable. So I'm very grateful that Paul and Gina are really, putting feet to this idea and getting this thought out of reaching out to pastors. So anybody out there, if you guys want to talk to your pastor and want some information, I do have a flyer that the Old Schoolhouse is putting together in coordination with us for some information there. So if anyone's looking for that, just comment below, message me, let me know that you would like to share some information with pastors near you, but we would like to make pastors aware of what's going on. Where is there a place that people could go, do you have a URL that people could go to, or a web link, for pastors or for people, or anything?
So pastors can go to churchschoolhouse.com, and if they fill out the form there, then Paul and Gina will be in touch with them right away. If there's somebody, maybe you're not a pastor, but you know of a pastor, you can go to schoolhousedirectors.com. If maybe you want to start it up yourself, you might have that desire in you to maybe direct a co-op. Maybe you have in the past, but again, this is beyond the co-op. This is different than a co-op. When the goal is, when you start, there's going to be maybe a chapel service before you begin, and times for moms to get together and get connected and pray together and have fellowship. So like you said, the discipleship is absolutely a part of this. And there is, everything's turnkey. You will completely receive a folder that will have all the information in there, help you maybe write up your, the statement that you need to have all your members sign. And we just hope to provide you with everything you need. So again, that's churchschoolhouse.com for pastors and schoolhousedirectors.com for those interested in maybe being a director.
That's really great. So as you were talking, I was thinking, I should have asked this question second. So we'll go to the question I should have asked first now, which was about who or what the Old Schoolhouse is and what Schoolhouse Teachers is. So if you're jumping in now, the first part was really awesome. I really wanted to talk about that because as being our organization's heart, you know, is to disciple our children and raise them to follow Christ. I really wanted to make sure that we talked about that effort that you guys are putting forth. But in case you don't realize who it is that is putting forth this effort, and you're like, what are we talking about? So the old schoolhouse has been around for 23 years. Is that what Deborah told me?
Yes, around 20. Yes.
So
Yep.
20 years or so. Great magazine, and it's still a hard copy magazine, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, but it's digital too. But like I get one and I love reading it. It's great articles and stuff. And then there's the Schoolhouse Teachers. So tell us about, you can tell us about both or one or whatever, but how are they connected and what are they specifically?
Sure. Yeah. So the old schoolhouse that began around 23 years ago. Paul and Gina, they just wanted to find a way to connect with the homeschooling community. She was selling books online on an eBay store, and she called it the old schoolhouse.
Oh,
And
there you go.
as she was selling used curriculum, it kind of, she realized she was getting all these questions because she was the curriculum lady and she was doing really well at it. She is a marketing, she really is really good at marketing. And she was doing really good at it. All these people were asking her questions. And she's like, this is actually a ministry. This is, and so she started a newsletter and that developed into, just a small print magazine. And then it became a beautiful, over 200 pages,
awesome.
Glossy print magazine.
Yeah.
And so those who have been homeschooling for, a decade or so might be familiar with the magazine side of things. Yes.
That's awesome. And it is wonderful. And there's been just topics, like there's themes in one. One was about jobs in the food industry. And it was cool. So I was like reading because I have a daughter who's interested in that type of thing. So I was like, oh, great. And there was one about horses, like horses and homeschooling. Well, I have a daughter who's into that. So I was like, this is really cool. So I love that, it hits, and you hit bunches of different topics and stuff like that. Right. So it's really cool. And I love paper. I just love paper. I'm not a digital. Give me something to hold.
I'm the same way.
So, okay. So then about 10 years ago or so, you guys got into the Schoolhouse Teachers thing, let's go into that. Like, what is that?
Sure. Right. So schoolhouseteachers.com is the curriculum side of the old schoolhouse. And that started a little over 10 years ago with just a handful of courses, a handful of lesson designers, but it quickly exploded. And now, as I mentioned, we have over 200 lesson designers. We have Dave Stotts on there who has drive-through history.
He's great.
We have Torchlighters, which will have a lot of the missionary or martyr stories. You have Corey Ten Boom in there, Gladys Allward, a lot of these, just mighty men and women of God in cartoon form with curriculum to go along with it to teach your child. And so a lot of these courses, we have My Teaching Library. We have, you receive with your membership, you receive access to World Book, which is essentially, remember Encyclopedia Britannica. Everybody had that, World Book is essentially that, but online. So there's several libraries in there that you have access to. There's transcript help. There's a planner. Who doesn't love a planner? There is a digital printable planner that you receive with that. There's also, mom chats, monthly mom chats. There's a story time and a show and tell for the little kids. And they absolutely love that. So throughout the year, there's science fair, there's art fair, senior recognition. When your child will graduate, they'll be recognized on our social media platforms. And it's just a great community.
So there are with the Schoolhouse Teachers, I mean, that covers classes from the whole way through, right? You start with the little ones. So that's
pre-K, yes. That's pre-K through 12th grade, and you have access you pay one price. So, as you were mentioning before, the old schoolhouse definitely wants to connect with CHAP. And not only do we want the pastors to be directing everybody to the state organization, because I know my state organization has helped me tremendously, throughout the years. And some people just don't know about it. So we could educate the pastors about you, then, everybody will have all their needs taken care of for homeschooling,
Yeah.
and they won't have those fears and questions anymore. But so we want to help direct that, but we have all the transcript help. We have just so many different resources from pre-K through 12. Not only, like I mentioned, I like to print things out, but
Yeah.
we also have some courses that are like Spanish, that are video based. We have Red Wagon Science, which are high quality. The teacher has it streaming at self-paced, and the parent is pretty much hands off, but you can print out the lesson plans to help your child along.
So that's great. So it's great. What? I'm sorry, this is a trucker going by my house. But there's I didn't know if you heard the beat. There was a big loud beat. So there's just a big wide variety. Like you can be online, you cannot be online. There's hands-on. There's, like you said, there's the different styles of weight. So the variety is great. Like what did I see like over 400 courses or something like that?
Yes,
like it was
right.
Yeah.
And so that can be overwhelming. I compare it to like a Pinterest for homeschoolers. I love just going in that search bar and looking, okay, my child needs work in cursive. Let me look that up. I need some copy work. Let me look that up. That's what I like to do. But some parents, they like to go to our school boxes. So that will have, and you have access with your membership to all pre-K through 12 school boxes. And that'll have everything that your child needs for that year. But let's say your child, is doing, the 7th grade school box, but they already did that math. You can switch it up because you have access to all the courses. So you can print out the lesson plans, use everything in the virtual school boxes. But you can also, check around and see what interests your child. There's electives, there's photography, there's digital graphic design. I mean, there's architecture. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a just go check it out kind of a thing. And there's all kinds of opportunities there. That's really cool. I love that. I love that. There's variety there, but it's kind of in one spot. And you also don't need to worry about, like you were saying, biblical worldview through.
Right.
So you don't have to be concerned, like, is this going to sneak in, or is that going to sneak in, or do I have to be careful about this? So it's in one spot. You can kind of look around, find what you like, pick and choose what you want, do the a la carte thing, stick it all in there. But you don't have to be concerned about the content that's going to be in there. It's going to be okay. So that's really great. That is really helpful. So here's another question for you. In regards to, like, I'm having you on to share with our people, because you guys reached out to us and said, hey, we want to support you guys. And out there, if you don't know, there's other organizations like CHAP in most of the other states, probably all of them, Christian organizations that are trying to support parents in their homeschooling journeys. Okay. And we're all about discipling our children. So the Old Schoolhouse reached out to us and said, hey, we want to support you in what you're doing. Here's this product that we have, and we want to get it to your people. So can you tell us about that and how that's working? Like, you've been seeing, my little poster fell down, but this is my Schoolhouse Teachers poster, has a little QR code on it. But if you were at convention, you would have seen this there too. But tell us about, what's the QR, what does the QR code do, and what's Schoolhouse, the Old Schoolhouse doing with CHAP?
Yeah. So, I mean, a membership, it's really affordable because you pay one price for your whole family, and it's $269.97. But what we want to do is, a lot of the groups such as CHAP and different organizations, the Christian, it's the Christian organizations that are there to help, that want to disciple and be there, the go-to for the homeschooling community. And we, Paul and Gina, they meet with a lot of leaders like you, and they saw the need, and they saw that, like, not everybody necessarily knows about these organizations, and there's so much that you have to offer, and you're the go-to. And so Paul and Gina absolutely wanted you guys to be at the forefront, and so we wanted to offer schoolhouseteachers.com at a discounted price, only $179 instead of the $269.97. And yes. And so we've created, our graphic design team has done an incredible job creating these materials for the state groups, and a QR code for CHAP. So if you scan that QR code, or if you reach out to Ginger for a link, she can absolutely give that to you. And that will bring you directly to a page. It's a secret hidden page just for you guys. And you guys can use that, and you will be supporting CHAP significantly, and you will have everything that you need to homeschool your children.
That is so awesome. And we are so grateful here at CHAP for your support because yeah, and like you said, the thing that happened a few years ago was really, it was challenging. It's struggling. It was a real struggle for us because, it shut down our convention, which was the way that we reached out to and supported all of our people. And it was also the way that we were able to continue doing it financially. So it was really hard. And it's, you really think hard during those times about what you can do to keep moving forward and supporting homeschoolers. So we are very grateful for your support. And I don't know that I was aware of Schoolhouse Teachers before you reached out to me. I probably was like way back here somewhere, but I went out there and I looked, I was like, wow, like the resources out there are incredible. I'm going to have my one daughter wants to study the Civil War next year for her history. So we're just going to go, we're going to go look and see what we can find and throw something together for her. And I'm all about my older kids now. I'm like, you know what? Decide what you want to do. And I'm going to let you go find resources so that you can learn about it. And I love giving them that freedom. It is so cool. And this is a great way to do it too. And like you said, if she doesn't like being online, but she could print what's there,
Absolutely. So, for sure.
Yeah. So that was really cool. So I'm thankful to you guys. I'm very thankful that you came on today to explain this to everybody a little bit and tell them about your vision for reaching out to pastors, which I think is wonderful. And again, out there, if you want to help homeschoolers, just help get the word out and support out for homeschoolers, tell your pastors about CHAP. You can tell them about the old schoolhouse, but tell them about CHAP too. Get them connected to us. And if pastors, they might be afraid just because they don't know anything and they don't have any resources. Well, they don't have to have all the resources. They just need to know about us, quite frankly. So everybody out there, tell your pastors about us. We can get you resources. We can get you that flyer with the special QR codes on it and stuff, information about CHAP. We are more than happy to share that stuff with you guys if you need it to share with your pastors so that they are equipped to give the information that they need to people who want to homeschool. So thank you, Heather, for coming on and talking about that, because I think that's a really good thought to get out there to our audience. And these are really great resources, and I'm glad we had an opportunity to talk about them.
Thank you, Ginger. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Okay, everybody, we will be back next Tuesday. What am I going to talk about? Well, I'm going to talk about how to start your own co-op. I've had lots of questions about it. I was a leader in a co-op for a while and have lots of information to share on that. So tune in next Tuesday if you want to learn about how to start up your own homeschool co-op or support group. And it's got to be summertime. Are you done? You guys have to be done. Enjoy your summertime. It's so dry here. So hopefully it's raining where you are and you're enjoying. Maybe you just put the sprinkler in and let everybody run around every day so your grass doesn't. We have like it's like August grass here right now. It's so sad. But enjoy your summertime. Remember to get your paperwork in. And even through the summer, as we're playing with our kids, we're still guiding them to follow Christ in all of life. So enjoy that time together. I know sometimes it feels long, but it is really short. So those days fly by fast, and enjoy that time and love on them. So thanks again, Heather. Goodbye, everyone. And we will see you again next Tuesday.
Thank you.